Our parents gave us a script for a world that no longer exists. 40% of young professionals are living paycheck to paycheck, and in the US, the median age for a child to leave home is now 27, up from 19 just 15 years ago. I spent 7 years advising the ultra-wealthy as a tax lawyer, and what made them successful wasn't following a predefined script. They created their own. So in this video, I'll share exactly what your parent script is costing you and why you need to get out of this trap before it's too late. Buying a house today costs 10 times more than it used to, and wages are not keeping up. Yet, parents tell us to save money, get a mortgage, buy a house, and spend the rest of our lives paying for it, because that is how life works. But here's what they don't talk about. What's keeping this generation stuck is the same thing that put our parents ahead. They bought their homes at low prices, boomer politicians changed the rules in their generation's favor, and made property values rise. Their capital gain is our buying price. The equity they spent the last 30 years building is what we are expected to have from the start. They won the housing market, and the cost of them winning is that we are barely getting in. Owning a home can be great for so many reasons, but it's also a commitment that most people don't think through, because we don't see it as a choice. And while everyone has to live somewhere, a lot of people buy to keep up with others and for emotional reasons, instead of asking themselves if it serves the lives that they want. A mortgage requires a stable income and monthly interest payments, which makes it harder for you to do anything outside of a 9-to-5 with your life. But most people don't realize that until it's too late. And having a 9-to-5 with a capped salary is exactly what's keeping you stuck in today's economy. Without owning how you make money, you are dependent on your employer, and they keep salaries low by design. To an employer, you are a company expense, and their goal is to get more money in and less money out. What's left every year goes to the owners, not you. And as jobs get fewer due to AI and job market changes, more people will understand that following the script is dragging them down, while those who think differently are quietly getting ahead. For our parents, buying a home was a step forward. For Gen Z and millennials, it can be exactly what's keeping you stuck. Buying an expensive home before creating a sustainable way to pay for it locks you into everything that comes with it. The job, the salary, the lifestyle. On top of that, once you have the home, your parents start talking about marriage and grandchildren, but they never acknowledge the cost. Weddings used to be the parents' expense. In many parts of the world, that is still the case. But as we become less traditional, that cost quietly shifted from the parents to the couples. And at the same time, social media is turning weddings into a comparison game, which makes these events bigger and costlier than ever. Parents want their kids to solve problems on their own, and they think they are teaching independence, which is a good thing. But their expectations and timelines show that they are out of touch with reality. In some countries, the idea of independence is pushed to a point where asking for help equals failure. People don't show up for each other anymore, and no one wants to be a burden to anyone. In Sweden, where I'm from, it has become normal for parents to ask their kids who live home beyond 18 to pay rent and split dinner bills. Every family event turns into a math exercise. And the boomers don't realize that their idea of independence, combined with today's economy, is sabotaging their kids' ability to get ahead, and their own ability to get grandchildren. 1 in 3 millennials and Gen Z don't have kids and don't want them either. 39% of Gen Z say they have delayed kids because of the economy. Politicians are panicking about falling birth rates, but no one is offering a solution to the fact that no one thinks they can afford a family anymore. Kids require stability, which requires a home, which requires a mortgage and a salary. Every milestone triggers the next, and everything requires both parents in a 9-to-5 with a capped salary. Once you have kids, you'll do what's best for the child. If you haven't created other income options by then, you'll find yourself in a vulnerable position. More responsibility requires more stability, and it makes you even more dependent on your employer. You're also in the middle of your career and you're expected to deliver, move up the ladder, or get out. And if you talk about the challenges with your parents, they will say that's just how it is, and that you should be thankful for having a job. But if you're tired of hearing this and want to start building outside of your 9-to-5 this week, I share more about how you can make this transition in my weekly newsletter. You'll find the link in the description below. Because underneath all of this, there is one more piece of parent advice holding this illusion together. Our parents didn't just tell us to choose a steady career, they also told us how to approach it. It all comes down to being a good employee, doing what you're told, and accepting what you're given, which is exactly what trained an entire generation to accept a capped salary with zero freedom and be grateful for it. Think about the big picture. Your parents think they're setting you up for independence, but what they're really doing is moving you from being dependent on them to being dependent on your employer. The entrepreneurs that I used to work for did not follow this script. They prioritized figuring out what they wanted to do and how they were going to earn money on their terms. They invest in assets that over time give them money to create long-term stability for them and their kids. They do not leave this in the hands of an employer. And they teach their kids the very same thing so they can live on their own terms as well. The biggest thing that they did differently was taking their fate into their own hands and doing whatever is required to own their path. They know that waiting is costly, but entrepreneurship isn't limited to the ultra-wealthy. In the US, 5.9 million new businesses were started last year. This is a record. A huge driver in this is AI taking over jobs. People are starting to realize that being dependent on an employer is becoming riskier. So if you didn't already think that prioritizing what you want is urgent, here's why it can't wait. People between 25 and 35 are in their healthiest and most capable years. This is when you can afford to take risk. We're at our peak, but most of us are too busy to see it, and the opportunity is closing. Everyone around you wants you to get the mortgage, have the kids, and spend the rest of your life dependent on your job. And when this is all you hear, it's easy to convince yourself it's the best way forward. But if you don't want to commit to a script that's limiting your options and want to start working for yourself instead, within the next 30 days, you can book a call with me below to get started. You'll find the link in the description. Unlike our parents, we have 1,000 alternative lives thrown into our face every day through social media. It's easy to see that following our parents' script isn't the only option anymore. We have more opportunity than ever to build something, reach people, and generate income on our terms. People don't stick to their script because they want to. They did what their parents told them, got locked in, and now making a change feels like admitting the last 10 years were wasted. The safe choice isn't staying where you are and convincing yourself that you should be grateful for having a job. The safe choice is seeing that the world has changed and to start building your own plan for how you're going to earn in the future, which you'll learn a lot more about in this video.